Hello, I'm Ryan Hart with the latest MEC Minute. In this episode, I'd like to discuss some of the most recent questions we've been seeing through the PDR system regarding reserve pilots and extended pairing segments, or EPS. Per the CBA, reserve pilots can receive EPS via 25X, which covers disrupted pilots, and 25Y, which covers emergency assignment. There are some significant differences to keep in mind between how these sections apply to reserve and line holders. The first part we want to look at is for reserve pilots on a pairing that becomes disrupted, specifically 25X 14-6. A reserve pilot whose original scheduled pairing contains a duty period in the last day of his reserve block is disrupted beyond the original scheduled pairing footprint shall be paid and credited in accordance with Section 3H. So under this provision, reserve pilots only receive EPS for disruption outside the footprint of their assigned pairing if it's also the last day of their reserve block of days. If they have additional reserve days, however, there is no EPS due. Note, a PRL code is not a day off. This is a floating placeover that crew services uses to ensure 30 hours of rest in a consecutive 168 hours. It's movable by crew services and confuses many pilots because prior to our CBA, this was the same code as a day off. Therefore, if a disrupted reserve pilot goes outside their footprint but into a PRL day, there is no EPS due as it was not awarded as a day off. The next section discusses 25Y, which looks at emergency assignment. Here the rules apply to reserves by omission. There is no carve-out for reserves in 25Y like there is in 25X. This is by design and as it was negotiated. All of 25Y applies to reserves just like a line holder. Therefore, even if a reserve is in the middle of a block of reserves days, an emergency assignment outside their assigned pairing footprint would trigger EPS pay just like it would for a line holder. A delay does not trigger EPS. However, for reserve pilots that are delayed into a day off, again, a PRL is not a day off, Section 25R7J speaks to day off encroachment. A reserve pilot on a pairing that ends after 0300 base local time on a day off due to a delay may elect to receive either 1. 4 hours and 12 minutes of pay above guarantee, or 2. An additional day off of his choosing excluding special pay days. If the following bid period has been published, the pilot may select a day off within that bid period. A restored day off shall comply with a minimum 3-day work block and be adjacent to a scheduled day off. Day off encroachment would not apply to a reserve pilot receiving EPS. Thanks for taking the time to watch this MEC Minute. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out via PDR to the Grievance Committee. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos.